The night was silent. No stars shined above, only a dark sky stretching forever. On the dead planet, there was no sound of life, no sign of hope, only a place full of wrecks and ruins. The locals called it the alien graveyard. Here, broken ships rested like skeletons of beasts. Rusted metal arms reached into the air like the bones of giants. The ground was covered with ash, dust, and shattered glass. It was a place forgotten by time, where the dead still whispered in the wind. In the middle of this wasteland, hidden between the shadows of two fallen warships, a girl lay still. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes glowing faintly like two tiny stars. But her body was weak, broken, and paralyzed. She could not walk, she could not run. Her hands barely moved, her lips did not speak. She was alive, but trapped inside her own body. Her name was unknown. Even to herself, her name felt lost. What she remembered clearly was the betrayal. Her own family had left her here. They had carried her deep into the graveyard, placed her on the cold ground, and walked away. They did not look back. They did not say goodbye. They did not care. She had cried with her eyes, begged them with silent tears, but her family turned their backs and left her to die among the dead. The girl's heart was heavy with questions. Why me? Why did they abandon me? She thought she was loved once, but now she knew the truth. To them, she was nothing but a burden. Her weakness made her useless, her paralysis made her unwanted. But there was something else, something deeper. She felt it in her bones. Her family was not only cruel, they were afraid. Afraid of her. Afraid of what she carried inside. Now, in the cold silence of the alien graveyard, she lay still. Her glowing eyes stared into the broken sky. She waited for death, but death was slow. Hunger gnawed at her. Fear filled her heart. The shadows around her seemed alive, as if the ghosts of the graveyard were watching her. Suddenly, a sound. A crunch of boots on broken metal. The girl's heart raced. Her eyes widened. Someone was here. From the smoke of the ruined ships, a figure appeared. A man, a human man. He wore a torn coat and carried a small bag. His face was rough, his eyes sharp, scanning the wreckage for something valuable. He was a scavenger, a hunter of broken things. He did not come for her. He came for the scraps of the graveyard. Metal, wires, engines, anything he could sell. But then his eyes caught a strange glow. He stopped. He looked closer. And there, half buried in shadows, he saw her, the alien girl, pale skin, glowing eyes, a body that did not move. For a moment, the man froze. His heart skipped. He had seen many things in the graveyard, dead bodies, broken machines, even monsters, but never this, a living child, glowing like a ghost, lying among the ruins. He stepped closer, cautious. The girl tried to move, tried to speak, but no sound came out. Only her eyes begged him, "Don't leave me." The man's breath grew heavy. His mind raced with thoughts. Was this a trap? Was she dangerous, or was she truly helpless? The air around them grew colder. The wind howled through broken ships like the voices of the dead. The man could walk away. He could pretend he saw nothing. It would be safer. But his eyes met hers, and in those glowing eyes he saw pain, he saw fear, and he saw something else, a secret, buried deep inside her. The graveyard was not silent anymore. The girl's presence made it alive. The man felt it in his bones. This was not an accident. This meeting was fate. Yet danger was close. In the distance, something moved, a shadow among the wrecks. A drone? A hunter? He could not tell. But he knew the graveyard was never truly empty. The girl's eyes shifted. She too felt the danger. Her lips trembled, trying to form words, but nothing came. Only her glowing gaze begged him to stay. The man's hand tightened on his bag. His chest rose and fell, with heavy breaths. He had a choice. Leave the girl like her family had done, or take a risk that could change his life forever. He took one step closer, then another. The girl's eyes filled with tears, not of sadness, but of hope. The graveyard whispered louder. The shadows closed in. The man reached out his hand. The story of the alien graveyard had begun. The man's hand hovered in the air. His fingers shook, not from weakness, but from the weight of choice. Before him lay the paralyzed alien girl, glowing softly like a fallen star. She looked fragile, almost like glass, but her eyes burned with silent fire. For a moment, the man almost pulled back. He had spent years in the graveyard, and he knew one rule: never trust what looks alive. The graveyard was full of tricks, broken machines that still hunted, alien traps disguised as treasures, even illusions caused by the toxic air. But this was no illusion. The girl's chest rose and fell, slow, weak, real. The man finally touched her arm. Her skin was cold, colder than the metal wrecks around her. She flinched ever so slightly, and her glowing eyes locked onto his. She wanted help. She needed help. The man whispered to himself, "Why are you here, little one?" His voice was rough, low, like someone who had spoken to shadows for too long. She did not answer. She could not. But her trembling fingers twitched against the dust. It was her only language. The man looked around. The graveyard stretched in every direction, endless. Silence pressed against his ears. But he felt it, the tension in the air. Something was watching. Something always watched. He pulled out a flask from his bag. Old, dented, but filled with water. Slowly, carefully, he lifted it to her lips. At first, she did not react. Then, with effort, she opened her mouth slightly. The water touched her tongue. Her throat moved. She swallowed, for the first time. As time in days, maybe weeks, life returned to her face. Her glowing eyes brightened. A single tear rolled down her cheek. The man frowned. He was no hero. He had not come to this place to save anyone. He had come for scrap, for survival. Yet here he was, giving water to a dying alien girl. He muttered again, as if scolding himself, "This is trouble. I don't need trouble." But he stayed. The girl blinked slowly, trying to show gratitude. Then her eyes shifted, looking past him, deeper into the graveyard. Her glow dimmed, as if fear had pressed against her heart. The man followed her gaze. His stomach tightened. Among the shadows of the broken ships, something moved. At first, he thought it was smoke. Then he saw the red light, a tiny, sharp glow, a drone eye. The man cursed under his breath. He had seen these machines before. Hunters, silent, patient, merciless. They were built to track, to follow, and to kill. And if one was here, more would come. The girl's family had not only abandoned her, they had left her as bait. The man's jaw tightened. He could walk away now, pretend he never saw her. The drones would take her, and his life would go on. But as he looked at her glowing eyes, he felt a pull, a strange bond. He picked her up. She was light, far too light, as if starvation had eaten away her strength. He carried her in his arms, moving quietly between the wrecks. Her head rested against his chest. She could hear his heartbeat, strong, steady, alive. For the first time since her family left, she felt safe, even if only for a moment. The man's boots crunched on the dust, each step careful, calculated. His eyes scanned for danger. The drone's red light blinked again, closer this time. He ducked behind the wing of a fallen cruiser. The metal was jagged, sharp, but it gave cover. He pressed the girl gently to the ground and peeked out. The drone hovered, scanning the area. Its sensors clicked softly. Its eye burned red like a predator in the night. The girl's breathing grew fast. Her glowing eyes begged him, "Don't leave me." The man's breath grew heavy. His mind raced with thoughts. Was this a trap? Was she dangerous, or was she truly helpless? The air around them grew colder. The wind howled through broken ships like the voices of the dead. The man could walk away. He could pretend he saw nothing. It would be safer. But his eyes met hers, and in those glowing eyes, he saw pain. He saw fear, and he saw something else, a secret buried deep inside her. The graveyard was not silent anymore. The girl's presence made it alive. The man felt it in his bones. This was not an accident. This meeting was fate. Yet danger was close. In the distance, something moved. A shadow among the wrecks. A drone? A hunter? He could not tell, but he knew the graveyard was never truly empty. The girl's eyes shifted. She too felt the danger. Her lips trembled, trying to form words, but nothing came. Only her glowing gaze begged him to stay. The man's hand tightened on his bag. His chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. He had a choice. Leave the girl like her family had done, or take a risk that could change his life forever. He took one step closer, then another. The girl's eyes filled with tears, not of sadness, but of hope. The graveyard whispered louder. The shadows closed in. The man reached out his hand. The story of the alien graveyard had begun. The man's hand hovered in the air. His fingers shook, not from weakness, but from the weight of choice. Before him lay the paralyzed alien girl, glowing softly like a fallen star. She looked fragile, almost like glass, but her eyes burned with silent fire. For a moment, the man almost pulled back. He had spent years in the graveyard, and he knew one rule: never trust what looks alive. The graveyard was full of tricks, broken machines that still hunted, alien traps disguised as treasures, even illusions caused by the toxic air. But this was no illusion. The boss said to us. A girl's chest rose and fell, slow, weak, real. The man finally touched her arm. Her skin was cold, colder than the metal wrecks around her. She flinched ever so slightly, and her glowing eyes locked onto his. She wanted help. She needed help. The man whispered to himself, "Why are you here, little one?" His voice was rough, low, like someone who had spoken to shadows for too long. She did not answer. She could not. But her trembling fingers twitched against the dust. It was her only language. The man looked around. The graveyard stretched in every direction, endless. Silence pressed against his ears, but he felt it, the tension in the air. Something was watching. Something always watched. He pulled out a flask from his bag, old, dented, but filled with water. Slowly, carefully, he lifted it to her lips. At first she did not react. Then, with effort, she opened her mouth slightly. The water touched her tongue. Her throat moved. She swallowed. For the first time in days, maybe weeks, life returned to her face. Her glowing eyes brightened. A single tear rolled down her cheek. The man frowned. He was no hero. He had not come to this place to save anyone. He had come for scrap, for survival. Yet here he was, giving water to a dying alien girl. He muttered again, as if scolding himself, "This is trouble. I don't need trouble." But he stayed. The girl blinked slowly, trying to show gratitude. Then her eyes shifted, looking past him, deeper into the graveyard. Her glow dimmed, as if fear had pressed against her heart. The man followed her gaze. His stomach tightened. Among the shadows of the broken ships, something moved. At first, he thought it was smoke. Then he saw the red light, a tiny, sharp glow, a drone eye. The man cursed under his breath. He had seen these machines before. Hunters, silent, patient, merciless. They were built to track, to follow, and to key. And if one was here, more would come. The girl's family had not only abandoned her, they had left her as bait. The man's jaw tightened. He could walk away now. Pretend he never saw her. The drones would take her, and his life would go on. But as he looked at her glowing eyes, he felt a pull, a strange bond. He picked her up. She was light, far too light, as if starvation had eaten away her strength. He carried her in his arms, moving quietly between the wrecks. Her head rested against his chest. She could hear his heartbeat, strong, steady, alive. For the first time since her family left, she felt safe, even if only for a moment. The man's boots crunched on the dust, each step careful, calculated. His eyes scanned for danger. The drone's red light blinked again, closer this time. He ducked behind the wing of a fallen cruiser. The metal was jagged, sharp, but it gave cover. He pressed the girl gently to the ground and peeked out. The drone hovered, scanning the area. Its sensors clicked softly. Its eye burned red like a predator in the night. The girl's breathing grew fast. Her glowing eyes begged him, "Don't leave me." The man pulled out a small device from his belt, a magnetic pulse tool. Old, stolen, barely working. He had used it once before to stop a machine. Maybe it would work again. He whispered to her, though he knew she could not answer. "Stay quiet. Stay still." The drone floated closer. Its sensors locked on the faint glow of her eyes. The man pressed the button. A pulse of blue light shot into the air. The drone twitched, sparks flying from its core. It fell with a metallic scream, crashing into the dust. The silence returned, but only for a moment. In the distance, more red lights appeared. 3, 5, maybe more. The man's face grew hard. He had only one choice now, either abandon her and escape or carry her deeper into danger. Her glowing eyes looked at him, filled with fear and trust at the same time. He sighed, "You're going to get me killed." He picked her up again and ran. The graveyard cowed me alive around them. Shadows shifted. Broken ships echoed with ghostly creaks. The air filled with the hum of machines. The hunt had begun. And in that moment, the man realized something strange. The girl was not only a burden, she was the key. Why else would the hunters follow her? Why else would her family abandon her in this cursed place? He didn't know the answer. Not yet, but he would. Because now, her fate was tied to his. The graveyard mystery was only beginning to unfold. The man ran through the graveyard, his boots striking against broken stone and rusted metal. In his arms, the alien girl lay still, her head pressed against his chest. She was silent, but her glowing eyes spoke louder than any words. The graveyard stretched endless. Towers of twisted ships leaned over him like broken giants. The air was sharp with the smell of ash. Behind him, the red lights of drones flickered closer, Their hum echoed like an angry swarm. The man's breath grew heavy. His muscles ached, but he held the girl tighter. She weighed little, almost too little, as if her body had been starving for months. Still, she felt heavy, not to his arms but to his life. She was a burden, and yet, he did not let go. He found shelter under the shadow of a fallen cruiser. Its giant frame shielded them from the scanning lights above. He lowered her carefully to the ground, his rough hands surprisingly gentle. For a while, there was only silence. The girl's eyes blinked slowly, watching him. She could not speak, but her gaze followed every move he made. He pulled out a piece of dry food from his bag, broke it, and placed it against her lips. At first, she did not react. Her lips trembled, her throat was weak, but then, with effort, she swallowed. A faint glow returned to her cheeks. The man sighed. He muttered, "I don't know why I'm doing this." His voice was gruff, but his actions said something different. The girl blinked once, slowly, as if answering him. Hours passed. The drones did not return, but he knew they were searching. The graveyard was never safe. The silence between them grew heavy, yet not empty. It was a silence full of meaning, like a conversation without words. The man studied her. She was alien, yes, but not terrifying. Her face was soft, almost human, though her skin shimmered faintly under the dim light. Her glowing eyes were not frightening. They were sad, deep sadness. Something stirred inside him. He had seen death, betrayal, and cruelty in this graveyard. But never eyes like hers. They were too alive, too innocent. She tried to move her hand, lifting it only an inch before it dropped again. He caught it before it hit the ground. Her fingers were cold, fragile. She squeezed very lightly, as if trying to speak through that single touch. The man froze. That tiny squeeze felt louder than a scream. For the first time he understood. She was not only asking for help, she was trusting him. He whispered, "You don't even know me, and still, you trust me?" His voice cracked slightly. He had long forgotten what trust felt like. The girl blinked once more, a soft glow flickering in her eyes. The bond was born, unspoken, fragile, but real. Suddenly, the silence broke. A distant boom echoed through the graveyard. The ground shook. Dust rained down from the broken cruiser above. The man stiffened. He peeked outside. In the distance, one of the massive wrecks exploded in flames. The drones were not just searching, they were clearing paths, tearing through ships to find their target, to find her. The girl's eyes widened in fear. The glow in them flickered weaker. The man clenched his jaw. "They want you. But why?" She tried to speak, her lips moving without sound. Only broken whispers escaped, lost to the air. Her eyes shimmered, desperate to make him understand. He shook his head. "I can't hear you." His frustration was not anger at her, but at the truth. She had a secret, and she could not share it. But he saw something, a faint light forming in her trembling hand. It was weak, like a spark, but it danced for a moment before fading. The man's eyes widened. You're not helpless." The girl blinked, slow but firm. Her glow flickered stronger for a second, as if to say, "Yes, I carry something. Something they fear." The man leaned closer, whispering, "Is that why they left you? Is that why your family abandoned you?" Her eyes closed, and a tear slipped down her cheek. She did not need to answer. The truth was written in her silence. The man sat back, running a hand through his hair. His mind was full of storms. He had promised himself never to care, never to get attached. The graveyard took everything from those who cared, and yet, here he was, caring. Outside, the red lights moved closer again. The humming of machines returned, louder now, hunting like wolves. The girl weakly lifted her hand again, pointing to a narrow path between the wrecks. Her glow shimmered faintly, guiding him. The man followed her signal with his eyes. It was dangerous, narrow, sharp with broken metal, but maybe, just maybe, it was a way out. He lifted her once more, holding her carefully. His arms trembled, not from her weight, but from the weight of his decision. As he stepped into the shadows, he whispered, "I don't know who you are. I don't know why they want you, but I won't let them take you." The girl's glowing eyes met his again. In that gaze, there was no fear now, only trust. The bond between them was sealed, without words, without promises, just survival. The graveyard shook with the approach of the hunters, but together, man and alien girl stepped deeper into the unknown, bound not by speech, but by silence that spoke louder than anything else. The unspoken bond had begun. The graveyard was never quiet for long. The man knew it, and now the girl knew it too, they movie. Ed through the narrow path she had shown him, a jagged corridor of broken ships stacked like fallen towers. The man's arms ached from carrying her, but he did not stop. Her faint glow lit his way in the dark. Every step echoed too loudly in his ears. Every shadow looked alive. Behind them, the hum of drones grew louder. Red eyes cut through the smoke. The hunters were closing in. The man stopped at a corner. He pressed his back against the metal wall and listened. The sound was not only drones now. Heavy footsteps thudded on the ground. Voices followed, sharp and cold. Not machines, aliens, hunters of flesh and bone. The girl's eyes widened. She knew those voices. She had heard them before long ago. They belonged to her own kind. Her chest tightened with fear. Her family had left her here to die, but strangers had come to finish the work. The man looked at her, reading the fear in her eyes. He whispered low, "They're after you." She blinked once. A tear slid down her cheek. The man's jaw clenched. "Then they'll have to get through me first." He pulled out a small weapon from his belt, an old plasma cutter. It was not made for fighting, but it could burn through metal and, if used right, through flesh too. He set the girl down in a corner, hidden behind a broken panel. He crouched low, his eyes sharp. The footsteps came closer. Voices whispered in a strange alien tongue. Then, one of them stepped into the corridor. Its body was tall and thin, armored with bone-like plates. Its eyes glowed with hunger. In its hand was a spear crackling with energy. The man did not wait. He struck fast, firing the plasma cutter. A bright blue flash cut across the alien's chest. It screamed, falling to the ground with smoke rising from its body. The others roared. The corridor filled with light as more hunters rushed forward. The girl's eyes widened in terror. She wanted to scream, but her voice betrayed her. Her fingers twitched helplessly. The man fought with everything he had. He swung the plasma cutter, sparks flying. He dodged a spear, too. Had slammed into the wall, shattering metal. He grabbed a shard of wreckage and stabbed another alien, pushing it back. But there were too many. One hunter grabbed him by the coat, throwing him hard against the wall. Pain shot through his ribs. The plasma cutter fell from his hand, clattering on the ground. The alien raised its spear to strike. The girl's glow flared. For a brief moment, her body trembled with strange energy. A faint wave of light pulsed from her chest. It was weak but enough. The spear froze in midair, vibrating as if held by invisible hands. The alien snarled, confused. The man took the chance. He lunged forward, grabbing his plasma cutter, and drove it straight into the alien's throat. The creature fell, choking in smoke and ash. The corridor was filled with silence again. The man stumbled back to the girl. His breath was ragged, his face streaked with blood and sweat. "That was you," he whispered. The girl blinked, her glow fading again. Her strength was gone, but the bond between them had grown stronger. He understood now. She was not only helpless, she was powerful, too powerful. That was why she was hunted. That was why her family abandoned her. The man touched her cold hand. "They're afraid of you," he said softly. "But I'm not." Her eyes shimmered. For the first time, she looked not only afraid, but also hopeful. Before they could rest, the ground shook again. A deep rumble rolled through the graveyard. From above, the drones descended, their red eyes burning brighter than ever. The man cursed. He lifted the girl again, holding her close. His body was tired, but he pushed forward. They ran through the corridor, past the fallen aliens, into deeper shadows. The graveyard seemed endless, a maze of death. But the girl's glow guided him, faint but steady. As they moved, the man whispered, "I don't know your name. I don't know your story, but I know one thing. I won't leave you, not like they did." The girl's eyes glistened with tears. She had no voice to answer, but her silent trust spoke louder than words. The shadows thickened. The danger grew, but so did their bond. They were no longer just a man and a helpless girl. They were something more, two souls against the darkness. The graveyard would not give up its secrets easily, but together they would face the shadows. The hunters were not finished, and neither were they. The night in the alien graveyard never changed. No sunrise came. No moon guided the way. Only the endless dark sky and the faint glow of broken ships lit the path. The man and the alien girl hid inside the hollow belly of a fallen warship. Its walls were twisted, its floors cracked, but it gave them shelter from the drones above. The man set her down gently on a piece of broken metal shaped like a bed. His hands trembled from the fight, his chest heavy from running. He pressed his palm against his ribs, bruised, maybe broken, but he said nothing. The girl's glowing eyes followed him. Her gaze was soft, full of questions she could not speak. She saw his pain, his blood, but also his stubborn strength. For a long time, neither moved. Only the distant hum of hunters echoed outside. Finally, the man broke the silence. His voice was low, almost a whisper. "They want you. They keep coming for you. Why?" The girl blinked slowly, her lips parted, trying to form words. No sound came, only a faint breath. Her frustration showed in her eyes. She wanted to tell him everything, but her voice was locked away. The man leaned closer. "You don't have to speak. Show me." Her fingers twitched, weak, trembling but determined. She lifted her hand, glowing faintly, and touched his temple. At first there was nothing. Then a flood of images crashed into his mind. He saw a palace of crystal and light standing on a world far from here. He saw her family, tall, proud, their eyes glowing brighter than the stars. He saw the girl standing among them, small but radiant, her glow stronger than anyone else's. She had been special, too special. The images shifted. He saw whispers in dark halls, sharp glances from her siblings, fear in her mother's eyes. He saw her father turn away as if ashamed. Then came poison slipped into her drink, her body weakening, her voice fading. Finally, he saw them carry her through shadows, through silence, into the graveyard, and leave her there. The vision broke. The man staggered back, gasping. His fists clenched, his eyes burned with anger. They're your family. His voice trembled with disbelief. And they betrayed you. The girl's eyes filled with tears. She blinked once, slow and heavy, confirming the truth. The man shook his head. "Because of your power." Another blink. "Yes." He rubbed his face with rough hands. His mind raced. She had been abandoned not because she was weak, but because she was too strong. Strong enough to be feared, strong enough to be hunted. He looked at her again. "What do you carry inside you? What are you?" The girl's glow flickered, faint but steady. She raised her hand again, trembling, and pressed it against her own chest. A faint pulse of light spread from her heart, glowing like a hidden sun. The man's breath caught. He could feel it, energy, pure and raw, like a storm waiting to be unleashed. "You're a weapon," he whispered. "No, more than that. You're hope, power they couldn't control." The girl lowered her hand, exhausted. Her glow dimmed again. Her body trembled as if the memory itself had drained her. The man sat beside her. He spoke softly, though his words were sharp with anger. "They poisoned you. They left you to die. And now others hunt you. They're afraid of what you might become." She blinked again, tears glistening. He leaned closer, his voice firm now. "But I'm not afraid." Her glowing eyes met his. For the first time, she did not loon. Like a broken child. She looked like something greater, something waiting to rise again. Outside, the drones buzzed past, scanning, searching. The hunters would not give up. The man gripped his plasma cutter, his knuckles white. "They won't stop until they take you, but they'll have to go through me first." The girl's lips parted again, struggling for words. A faint sound escaped, broken and weak. Not a full word, but a whisper. "Why?" The man froze. It was the first time he had heard her voice. Fragile, thin, but real. He looked at her, surprised. Then he smiled faintly, though his eyes still burned with fire. "Because you don't deserve to die here. And because—" He paused, searching for the truth. "Because I won't abandon you. Not like they did." The girl's eyes filled with tears again, but this time, they were not only tears of sadness, they were tears of hope. The graveyard groaned around them as if listening. Shadows shifted, danger growing closer, but inside the wreck, for one small moment, they were safe. The secret was no longer hidden. The man now knew who she was, and he knew why the shadows hunted her. She was not only a girl, she was a spark of power too great to control. The hunters wanted to erase her, her family wanted to forget her. But the man made a silent promise. He would not let the secret die in the graveyard, even if it cost him his life. The wreck trembled. Dust rained down from the ceiling. Outside, the graveyard roared with sound, drones buzzing like angry insects, hunters shouting in their sharp alien tongue. The man knew the quiet was gone. The shadows had found them. He tightened his grip on the plasma cutter and turned to the girl. Her glow was faint, her body weak, but her eyes burned with warning. She could feel them coming closer. The man whispered, "Hold on." He lifted her into his arms once more. She was light, far too light, but the weight of what she carried made her feel heavier than the world. The first drone appeared at the broken window. Its red eye flashed, scanning. The man swung his cutter. sparks flying as he smashed it into the wall. The drone fell in pieces, smoke rising. But that was only one. More red eyes glowed in the distance, the air filled with the sharp hum of wings. The hunters had unleashed a swarm. The man broke into a run. His boots slammed against the cracked floor as he carried the girl through the hollow ship. Metal groaned beneath him, threatening to collapse. The girl pressed her face against his chest, her eyes squeezed shut, but her glow lit the path ahead. Behind them, the swarm entered, red beams shooting through the air. Sparks exploded as walls burned. The man ducked, rolled, and slid beneath a jagged panel. One beam missed his head by inches. Another scorched the wall beside him. The heat licked his skin. He burst through the ship's side, stumbling into open ground. The graveyard stretched out before him like a maze of steel bones. Towers of wreckage leaned at impossible angles, their shadows sharp like blades. And then he heard it, the thundering steps. The hunters were close. Alien warriors leapt down from the wrecks above, their bone-like armor glowing in the dark. Spears crackled with energy in their hands, their eyes locked on him. The man cursed under his breath and sprinted. He weaved between the wrecks, his lungs burning, his arms aching. Still, he held the girl tight. One hunter lunged, spear slicing the air. The man twisted, barely escaping the strike. He slammed his shoulder into the alien, knocking it off balance. Another hunter blocked his path. The man swung the plasma cutter, sparks flying as it clashed against the spear. He pushed forward, kicking the alien away, but more followed. The girl's glow pulsed faintly. Her weak hand trembled against his chest. A soft spark slipped from her fingertips, small, but enough. The ground beneath one hunter cracked, shaking as if the wreck itself had awakened. The alien stumbled, its spear falling to the ground. The man's eyes widened. "That was you." She blinked, her glow flickering again. She was trying, fighting. Her paralysis with every bit of will, but each spark drained her, dimming her light. The man ran faster. He dodged drones, ducked through narrow passages, and climbed over broken engines. Behind him, the hunters roared, their voices echoing like thunder. Ahead, a wall of wreckage rose high, blocking the path. The man skidded to a stop. The hunters closed in. Drones circled above, their red eyes sharp. The girl's glow flared suddenly, brighter than before. Her weak hand lifted, trembling in the air. A soft wave of light rippled outward. The wreck before them groaned, then shifted, opening a narrow crack in the wall. The man didn't hesitate. He slipped through the crack, scraping his arms against the jagged metal, and vanished into the shadows beyond. The hunters tried to follow, but the wreck collapsed behind them, sealing the path. The man stumbled forward, gasping for breath. His body shook with exhaustion, but he did not stop until the sounds behind him faded. Finally, he fell to his knees. He laid the girl gently on the ground, his chest heaving. Her glow was dim now, faint as a dying star. Her eyes fluttered, half closed, drained from using her hidden power. The man brushed the dust from her face. His voice was rough but steady. "You saved us." Her lips trembled, a broken whisper escaped. "Not enough." The man shook his head. It was enough. It was more than enough. For a moment, silence returned. Only the sound of his breathing filled the air. Then from the distance, another boom echoed. The graveyard shook once more. The man's jaw tightened. He looked at the girl, then at the endless maze ahead. He knew the chase was not over. The hunters would find them again. They always would. But now he also knew something else. She was not only a helpless burden, she was his ally. Weak in body, but strong in spirit. And her power, though small now, was enough to shake the graveyard itself. He lifted her again, holding her close. His voice was firm, unshaken. "They want to hunt you. They want to kill you. But they'll have to kill me first." The girl's eyes opened slightly, glowing faintly. A single tear slid down her cheek. But this time, it was not only fear, it was trust. The chase had not ended. It had only just begun. And in the shadows of the alien graveyard, two souls, one human, one alien, ran together, bound by survival, chased by death, and carried by hope. The graveyard stretched endlessly, but the man could feel the end of his strength. His legs shook, his chest burned, his arms ached from carrying her. Yet still, he did not stop. The girl's glow flickered weakly in his arms. Her eyes opened only halfway, but each time they did, they searched for his face. She could see he was breaking, she could see he was bleeding, but still he held her. Behind them, the hunters came again. The hum of drones filled the air like a storm. Red lights danced on the broken walls. Their shouts echoed, closer, louder, hungrier. The man stumbled into the hollow of a half-buried ship. Its walls were bent like ribs of a dead beast. He lowered the girl gently to the floor, his breath heavy, his body shaking. He whispered, "I can't run forever." The girl blinked slowly, as if agreeing. She tried to lift her hand, but it trembled and fell. The man clenched his fists. He looked at her glow, faint but steady, and he made his choice. He pulled the plasma cutter from his belt, checked its weak charge, and stood tall. "If they want you," he muttered, "they'll have to go through me." The drones entered first, buzzing like knives in the dark. Their red beams cut through the air, lighting the wreckage with fire. Behind them, the hunters marched, their armor shining, their spears crackling with deadly energy. The man planted his feet, holding the plasma cutter tight. He shouted, his voice rough but unbroken. "Come then!" The first drone rushed forward. He swung, sparks exploding as the plasma cutter sliced it in half. Another fired a beam. He rolled aside, the shot burning the wall. He rose and stabbed upward, destroying it. But the hunters were stronger. One lunged with a spear. The man blocked, the shock rattling his bones. Another struck from behind, cutting across his arm. He hissed in pain but did not fall. The girl's eyes widened. She could see he was losing. His strength was fading. The hunters were too many. Her glow began to pulse. Her weak fingers curled, trembling, as if reaching for something deep inside her. She remembered the palace. She remembered her family's fear. She remembered the power locked within her. The hunters roared, circling closer. One knocked the plasma cutter from the man's hand. It clattered across the floor. The man fell to one knee, his breath broken. The tallest hunter raised its spear, ready to strike the final blow. The girl's glow exploded. Light burst from her chest, filling the graveyard like a rising sun. The walls shook, the ground split, the drones screamed as their circuits fried. The hunters stumbled, blinded, their armor cracking under the force. The man shielded his eyes, but he did not turn away. He saw her, no longer fragile, no longer helpless. She was power. She was fire. She was the secret they feared. The hunters fell one by one, their weapons shattered, their bodies thrown against the wreckage. The drones fell from the sky, burning. Silence followed. Heavy, endless silence. The girl collapsed. Her glow dimmed again, weak as a dying flame. She had given everything. The man crawled to her, his hands trembling. He lifted her head gently, his eyes wide with fear. "Stay with me, please." Her lips trembled. A whisper escaped, so soft it barely reached his ears. "You saved me." The man's chest tightened. He shook his head, his voice rough. "No, you saved us." Her glowing eyes softened, and she smiled faintly, a small, fragile smile, and closed her eyes. For a moment, the man thought he had lost her. He pressed his hand against her chest. Her heartbeat was weak, but still there. Relief washed over him. He lifted her again, holding her close. His body was broken, but his will was stronger than ever. The graveyard was quiet now, the hunters destroyed. But he knew others would come. Her family would not stop. They would keep hunting her. He looked at the endless horizon of wreckage. There was no safe place here, not anymore. He whispered, more to himself than to her, "I'll get you out. I don't care where I have to go. I won't leave you. Not now. Not ever." The girl's glow flickered faintly, as if answering him. The man stepped into the shadows once more, carrying her away from the battlefield. Behind them, smoke rose from the broken drones and fallen hunters. The graveyard was silent again, but the silence was heavy with warning. This was not the end. It was only the beginning. One man and one broken girl, bound by trust, hunted by shadows, carrying a secret that could change the galaxy. The graveyard had tried to bury them, but they had survived, together. And in the darkness, the man made his final choice. He would protect her with his life no matter the cost.